section 3, question 3 of the same exam with Carolyn and Arnold. So this one is dealing with an artist and resemblance. So take a moment, look over that question, see if you could predict the point of issue for yourself, point of disagreement, and then we'll talk about it. All right, so this question is maybe a little bit on the easier side, but I think that some of the abstract language, once again, makes it a bit tricky. Maximally realistic, recognizable resemblance, conceptual portrait. They're throwing in DNA just to mess us up with the topic of science a little bit. But I think if we just kind of boil it down to its essence, we've got Carolyn saying that she's got a problem with this DNA portrait being a real portrait. She's saying, if you want to say that something's a portrait, it should be recognizable relative to the person it's actually meant to resemble. Arnold says quite directly, I disagree. So Arnold disagrees with pretty much everything Carolyn just said. And Carolyn was saying that in her definition, a portrait has got to be recognizable relative to its subject. And of course, this portrait that we're talking about is a conceptual portrait involving DNA. So Carolyn says the DNA portrait's not a real portrait. Arnold says the DNA conceptual portrait is realistic because it has these actual instructions. So they're disagreeing about what is actually a portrait and what's not. Carolyn says it should look like the person it's meant to represent. Arnold says doesn't matter. It has some other more symbolic meaning. But in essence, it's really just about whether it's actually a portrait of the person or not. And so I'll help you out for this one. I would say just straightforwardly, E, is it actually a portrait or not? Arnold says, yes, it is. It is maximally realistic. So that's good enough for him. And Carolyn says, no, it's not because it doesn't look anything like him.